Good afternoon, I'm Jim Cooper, Editor-in-Chief at Digiday, and we're at the Digiday video studio at the Blockboard Villa at Cannes 2024 on the third day, and we're really excited to have Jim Mollica, who's a CMO of Bose. Jim, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Jim.
So tell us how your Cannes has been so far. What have been some of the more important conversations you've had?
Well, besides this one, and also I have to commend you on this setting. It's incredible. It's incredible. Best setting that I've been to. Had a lot of great conversations at Cannes. I think the interesting thing is coming back here after a few years, it's a little bit of a walk down memory lane or my CV, running into people that I've worked with, friends from the past, partners, and new opportunities. So, lots of conversations around content creation, both from technology-driven side of things, and I'd say, from the collaborator and creator side of things, a lot of tech conversations around, the foundational elements of MarTech, and how AI is impacting not just creativity, but the entire business, customer service, personalization. And then lastly, the business of driving growth for the CMO and how that's changed over the last few years.
Right, so you're Bose's first CMO, right?
I am.
And you've been in the role for about 3 years. So when you come to Cannes now, because you guys have been doing a lot of your growth,
Yes.
effort, how do you see technology and creativity being in service of what your mission is?
Yeah. I think, I think there are multiple different facets of creativity and technology coming together. There's, the elements of the data and insights that are fed into the parameters of creating creative. I still believe that it's part art and part science, but I think, technology can help increase the probability of success, and that is engagement with your audience. I think that element's really fascinating. I think the element of real-time dynamic creative being built off of unique native assets is really interesting to me because it leads to speed and scale that we could never get to with just humans doing it. And then last, I think that there is an element of using all of these platforms in an interesting and unexpected way, which is really dynamic, which I think is a new path towards creativity that not a lot of people talk about. How do you become a creative technologist?
So speed and scale are really interesting. I think audio is a very emotional medium. How do you make sure you don't lose that emotional connection with your clients while you're also looking to ramp up speed and scale?
Yeah, it's a great point. Look, I think it's funny that you say, sound, audio is an emotional category. I think we are a very unique company and a unique brand. We are a fiercely independent company. We're not public. We have 60 years of history around sound and innovation, and that's all we do. And I think a lot of the other offerings out there are really technology based. So our whole brand is about being in service for the passionate music fan. We're not for everybody. There are, some people that may not have the same passion around music and don't want the most immersive, incredible listening experience. But those that do, will come to Bose with that backdrop around the brand. So for me, it has to be, we cannot get reduced to a commodity by using technology. So one of the ways we guard against this is that we treat ourselves like a publisher. Not unlike you, we are producing content, either we're doing it or working with creators, and we produce thousands and thousands of pieces of content a month. And it's based in a celebration and fandom of music. And so it's up and coming artists, it's really well-known artists, it's people that are influencers in certain genres, whether they be athletes, whether they be chefs, whether they be, travel pros, and how music plays a part in their life. And by continuing to show that the connection that music has to them, I think that's one way to demonstrate it. And then I prefer to have a suite and create a suite of branded assets that then technology takes and uses, as opposed to generating the more generic version of what we have. And I think that's a way to sort of continue to make sure that we are unique and our brand resonates with people.
Are there specific tech tools that you're using right now that you've felt have been particularly effective in your mission?
I think it's more tech partners than I would call out specific tools. There are lots of wonderful tools out there, like the ever-changing CDP and our partnership with Sprinkler and our partnership with Salesforce. Um, but I do believe that what is really driving a lot of this is our work in partnership with Automated Creative, which is helping us scale around the globe. Unbelievable amounts of branded content. So, video-based content that is geographically appropriate, that is day part appropriate, rather than having small A/B tests, it is, testing thousands of variants in real time and coming back with winners to very distinct niche audiences for us. Has been an incredible example of that. I think across the board, what's fascinating to me is the data that is influencing the modeling to drive all of that work is like nothing we've ever seen before. And again, that's coming from, some of our partnerships with the big publishers, as well as our platform in Salesforce.
The partnership question is really interesting. How has your definition of partnership evolved over the past couple of years, and what are some of your most important partnerships?
Yeah, great question. So I use partnership very specifically, yet it has a broad tent. So for me, partners are, some of our close brand ambassadors and business associates. Kith, Ronnie from Kith, partner, friend. Joe Burrow, Anthony Edwards, Little Sims. These people are all like they are part of our family, and we consider them partners, not sponsors or brand ambassadors in like sort of the traditional sense. And then it gets into our agency, working with PMG or working with Vayner. They are embedded with our own group, and they work every day together in a side by side manner, and I think that's really, really important. And then I think, we have some of the broader, bigger tech vendors that we use that have now become so integrated in our business that we're both reliant on one another. We mentioned Accenture, I mentioned Salesforce. And so I like to have a more pared down version and create very personal relationships with them, because we're not this giant conglomerate that we can't have relationships with the leaders of those organizations where we create really mutually beneficial relationships to drive our businesses forward.
I think we're at a really interesting inflection point. We've been covering a lot about ad verification and how CMOs like yourself have to be very careful about how they spend their budgets.
Yes.
Where do you think the business is on that journey to sort of engender a greater sense of trust in terms of where you invest your money?
Yeah, it's ongoing. And I don't know that I have a great answer for it. I think we rely on a lot of audits. We rely on a lot of human spot checking, sanity tests around our measurement and our measurement framework with our head of analytics, who does an incredible job of these things. The signals we're getting from the marketplace that seem slightly off on various things that will allow us to go and investigate. But it's a real challenge. It's one of the things that, when I go back in and look at our media mix modeling profiles and where things and value is coming from, sometimes that doesn't match where we're spending money, and that leads to a different level of investigation. So I think we have some room to go. But one of the ways that we're trying to be more, we'll say, effective and responsible in the spend is working with the big platforms of Google. And we do a ton of brand building with YouTube and then carry that all the way through down into conversion. And so there's a natural focus of connectivity that we can see. We do the same thing with Amazon and their platform, and the same thing with Meta and their platform. Really, three big partners of ours that we're driving business against. And I think when you have it within an ecosystem, that the leak out of that, I think, is easier to see and prevent.
Right. So when you go back to reality and
Yeah.
go back to the real world and talk to your people after Cannes, what do you think the most important thing you're going to bring back to them in terms of this experience and what it might be able to do to drive progress?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, look, first of all, coming here interacting with people like you, some incredible colleagues and friends out there in the world. I think it reminds me how many talented people have chosen this field. And they inspire me, provoke creative thoughts, new ideas, new strategies on a daily basis. And so there are certain key things that will come back that I'll bring to them, but also encourage, all of the people on our team to continue to look outside of our organization for inspiration, thought leadership from some incredible people out there. I think that's one. And I think reinforcing the fact that our job is to drive growth for the company. And I think that starts at different levels, right? I think it starts at the brand level and making sure that we are driving and making this, the most aspirational and relatable brand out there for the passionate music fan. And then getting into the engagement element of all of this and making sure it is a celebration of music, and we, demonstrate that through our actions, not just tell you about it. So that becomes incredibly important. And then down into ensuring that we are making these offers to them personal, bespoke, customized, whether it's the content you're creating because the type of music genre you're into and the behind the scenes that we're doing with one of your favorite artists in that niche genre, or down into the best product for you that fits your needs. I think focusing on those things and ensuring that we are here to support the wonderfully emotional element, bringing back to your start of audio for people, that's the big reminder.
Great. All right, Jim Mollica is CMO at Bose. Jim, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thanks.